Did you know that Jesus disappeared from the Bible for 18 years? This mystery has intrigued historians, theologians, and curious minds alike for centuries. Dubbed the missing years of Jesus, these unaccounted decades have inspired an array of theories, some grounded in local tradition and folklore, others bordering on the fantastical. Did Jesus embark on a spiritual odyssey across India, Britain, or even Japan? Or are these simply attempts to fill gaps in history with mythology? The mystery stems from a glaring silence in the New Testament. Aside from a brief moment where 12-year-old Jesus astonishes elders in the Temple of Jerusalem by demonstrating a level of understanding and wisdom that was considered extraordinary for a child of his age, his story in the Bible skips nearly 2 decades, resuming when he begins his ministry at age 30. The conventional view places him in Galilee, leading a quiet life as a carpenter. Yet, alternative theories suggest a more adventurous possibility, that Jesus journeyed beyond Judea, seeking wisdom from the far reaches of the ancient world. Among the most compelling theories is that Jesus spent his lost years in India and Tibet. This notion gained traction in the late 19th century when Russian journalist Nicolas Notovitch claimed to have uncovered ancient Tibetan manuscripts at the Hemis Monastery, referencing a figure named Issa who studied Hinduism and Buddhism. According to these texts, Jesus, or Issa, traveled through the Silk Road and then through Puri and the Himalayas, immersing himself in spiritual traditions before returning to Judea at age 29. However, Notovitch's claims have faced intense scrutiny. Scholars accused him of fabricating his findings, and no verifiable evidence of these manuscripts has ever emerged. Despite this, the story persisted, partly due to Swami Abhebananda, a respected Hindu scholar who, in 1922, claimed to have seen similar texts at the Hemis Monastery, corroborating the story. Yet, like Notovitch, his accounts were never independently verified, and when renowned philologist Max Muller investigated, things unraveled. Muller corresponded with the monastery and was told that no Westerner had visited in the previous 15 years, and more importantly, that no such manuscripts existed. To this day, no manuscripts have been found, and this claim has never been independently verified, although many believe the manuscripts remain hidden at the Hemis Monastery under lock and key. From India, we head to Britain, where during the late 12th century, Joseph of Arimathea became entwined in Arthurian legend, emerging as the first keeper of the Holy Grail. This connection first appears in Joseph d'Arimathea by Robert de Bron, where Joseph is said to have received the Grail from a vision of Jesus, later sending it to Britain with his followers. Other tales suggest that Jesus visited the British Isles as a young man, travelling with his great-uncle, Joseph of Arimathea, who at the time was thought to be a tin trader. In these stories, the boy Jesus and his uncle built the first wattle and daub church on the site of Glastonbury Cathedral, and studied with the Druids, drawing parallels between his teachings and Celtic spirituality. These stories have been immortalised in British lore, famously inspiring William Blake's poem, "And did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountain green." Whilst evidence for Jesus in Britain is very thin, there are a considerable amount of legends about Joseph of Arimathea travelling to Gaul and Britain, being sent by St. Philip to spread Christianity. So whilst it's possible, this story does look more like the intertwining of folklores to create a narrative about Jesus coming to Britain. On the other side of the world lies a more eccentric tale. In the remote village of Shingo, Japan, local lore suggests Jesus did not die on the cross. Instead, it was his brother Isukiri who took his place. Jesus, they claim, fled the crucifixion, journeyed through Siberia and Alaska before arriving in Japan's Mutsu province, carrying with him a lock of his mother Mary's hair and one of Isukiri's ears. In Japan, Jesus is said to have settled in what is now the village of Shingo. There, he married a Japanese woman, raised 3 daughters, and lived the life of a rice farmer. Between farming and traveling, he is believed to have embraced Japanese culture and traditions, ultimately passing away at the age of 106. As you can imagine, historians dismiss this outlandish tale as folklore. Yet the legend remains a quirky tourist attraction and a reminder of how myths can transcend borders. The so-called missing years of Jesus remains one of history's great enigmas, suspended between faith, history, and imagination. Whether he stayed in Galilee or ventured into distant lands, the truth of these years remains tantalizingly out of reach, but maybe one day will come to the surface. Perhaps answers lie buried in forgotten texts or hidden archives, yet regardless of their historical accuracy, these stories do offer an insightful glimpse into how communities across time have reimagined and adapted the narrative of Jesus, weaving it into their own cultural landscapes and helping to transform the idea of Christ into a symbol of global significance.